because that was not a foul. That call should have been reversed.
What if I told you that the outcome of the WNBA finals was predetermined? It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? However, Rachel DeMita didn't hold back when she began her investigation into yesterday night's game and discovered something that makes this notion seem more plausible than not.
Last night's WNBA finals game was absolutely rigged, and there is so much proof. What a terrible way to end this WNBA season.
We'll show you the precise instant when everything changed, why some of the biggest names in basketball are calling this the most blatantly rigged game they have ever seen, as well as the odd patterns that went unnoticed. The proof, you can't ignore it, it's all right here. Let's go back to the precise point at which everything changed. Regulation has 3.2 seconds remaining. When Breanna Stewart caught the ball at the three-point line, the anxiety in the arena was palpable. However, the subsequent events left basketball fans worldwide baffled. Join me in watching this in slow motion, and waits until she enters the paint before setting the ball down. Is that 5 steps without a single dribble, I wonder? Strangely, not a single whistle blew, despite the fact that the travel violation in professional basketball is so evident that you can almost hear fans yelling at their TV screens. You would think that the worst thing would be missing a trip that apparent. Hold on, though, because what comes next is even more incredible. Elena Smith challenges Stewart's attempt at a shot. Take a look at this. Thus, as this picture shows, taken just as Stewie jumps up with the ball. She is not being touched by Elena Smith. She appears to be delicately tapping the ball with 2 fingers. Breanna Stewart is not being touched by her body. Breanna Stewart is not touched by her arm. Here, there was obviously no touch. This game-changing foul was allegedly caused by contact. It's similar to attempting to find Bigfoot. You see less the harder you search. This is where it gets crazy, though. Even the seasoned commentator was rendered incomprehensible by the explanation the referees provided when questioned about this important call. Sincerely, Smith does not hold a guardianship status under the law. Stewart will therefore attempt 2 free throws. What? Smith wasn't in a lawful guarding posture, they said. Basketball fans are aware that this call is as uncommon as a solar eclipse. And Rachel expressed her annoyance candidly. I've played basketball all my life, and for the last 11 years of my career, I've been a basketball reporter. In a legal guarding posture, that is not frequently termed. And the most amusing thing is that the commentators who were calling this game didn't even explain what it meant in its entirety. According to the rule book, facing the opponent with both feet on the ground constitutes a legitimate guarding position. It's rather elementary knowledge that all defenders acquire in middle school. Consider what we just witnessed. 5 dribble-free steps, no phone call, the shot had no contact, a foul, and an explanation that, in this case, is completely nonsensical. On its own, every one of these things would raise suspicions. But in the last seconds of a championship game, all 3, because of this dubious last move, Rachel DeMita began tugging at this thread, and what she discovered next completely blew this whole thing apart. The iceberg was only the beginning. Even NBA superstars couldn't keep silent about the startling statistics she found next, those last-minute antics. Only the beginning. When all the stats from this game are added together, they create a narrative so outrageous that NBA stars begin to speak out. Watch these side-by-side footage to see what Minnesota had to deal with and what New York considered a foul. She begins by emphasizing the night's most remarkable statistic, attempts at free throws. The final free throw count at the end of the game, everyone. The Lynx only made 8 free throws, while the Liberty made 25. That statistic is nearly absurd. The New York Liberty crossed the line 25 times. Minnesota only received 8 attempts. That's more than just a margin in a championship game. It's a canyon. However, the statistics only provide half the picture. The way these fouls were called is what really makes this stand out. For instance, consider Naphiza Collier. All night long, she was getting completely pummeled beneath the basket. Take a look. This is a single infraction. She is literally being slammed in the face as her arm is tied up. She takes severe contact, fights past defenders, and gets little in return. Not even a whistle. Then this one. Definite touch between the arms, no call yet, however, moved to the opposite side of the court. Suddenly, these referees became ebullient traffic cops. The smallest contact with a player from New York, bad. A guard breathing too near, that's an additional infraction. Additionally, the referees' questionable calls weren't limited to the poor call at the end of the game. Throughout the entire game, it was clearly evident that Naphiza Collier was not receiving any calls. Even NBA stars were unable to contain their utterances due to the stark contrast. When LeBron James took to Twitter, he didn't hold back. He was straightforward in his message. LeBron James sent out a tweet. "I apologize, but that wasn't a foul," he said. "Let the dang players decide how a hard-fought, tried-and-true game turns out. You may tell that something is very wrong when the Monarch expresses interest in officiating." He wasn't alone, though. Damian Lillard also added his voice, criticizing the referees. In the second half, the referees called this game as if they were familiar with the assignment. What a fantastic game. Wait until you see what Isaiah Thomas posted if you believe it to be straightforward. He just tweeted, "They kind of cheated for New York, but I understand." Thomas tweeted, "LOL." We've passed the point of coincidence when NBA players, both past and present, publicly criticized the officiating, the difference in free throws, players' missed calls, New York's phantom fouls. All of this points to a result that appears to be predetermined rather than the result of poor officiating. But stay put, for there's more to this rabbit hole. Even the most ardent doubters would begin to suspect conspiracies after what transpired in the arena. Wait until you see what transpired during the award ceremony if you thought the dubious calls were awful. The commissioner's attire during the award presentation caught the attention of fans. Yes, you heard correctly. Fans even started referring to the commissioner's exit wearing something so distinctive and well-timed that it was the smoking gun of the entire last season. Fans' paranoid perception is that the league frequently seeks to market X to win. However, it is not a good image for the league commissioner to practically wear the skyline of New York on her dress for Game 5. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert enters the court in a frock encrusted with the skyline of New York City right in front of millions of people. There are also videos where you guys are being taken down. But take a look at this picture. I will also save this picture before it is removed. Take a peek at her clothing. It's actually the skyline of New York. Not just any cityscape, though. We're referring to the Freedom Tower, the Empire State Building, and the entire recognizable Manhattan skyline. It is impossible to make this stuff up on the night that New York is vying for a championship. The response was immediate. After social media exploded, these pictures abruptly began to vanish more quickly than crime scene evidence. It was originally noticed by former WNBA players who noted that a commissioner would never make such a blatant fashion statement during a neutral game, much less one that featured that city in the finals. They even went so far as to cast doubt on the WNBA's leadership, merely a basic IQ. To determine whether any of the WNBA's managers are capable of running a significant company, I would like to test their IQ as. Even if they tried, I'm confident none of them could operate a McDonald's drive-thru. Because I simply don't know what, why, or how. I am unable to even speak clearly. What happens if you go inside your closet and realize something? After today's game, I'm going to have a tremendously large job. This game will draw the largest crowd in more than 2 decades. Do you know what kind of outfit I'll be wearing? This dress from New York. However, before anyone could comprehend this fashion disaster completely. Coach Cheryl Reeve of Minnesota was on the verge of escalating this dispute into a full-scale brawl. The entire press room gasped at what she did next. I witnessed a really tough and physical New York team. We've been playing the game for a long time, so we know that sometimes being aggressive and rough gets you away with things, and they most definitely did. It's unfortunate that officiating played such a significant role in a series like this. The Minnesota Lynx' head coach is not your typical coach. A WNBA legend, she is renowned for her professionalism and composure. However, after this game, something changes. This is unlike any post-game interview you have ever seen. Her remarks have a greater impact than any play on the court, and the intensity is evident. Today was really disappointing, in my opinion. The rules for the challenge need to be changed, and a third party should be present to oversee the game. The anxiety is nearly palpable as Reeve approaches the microphone. She lost all of her usual composure. Instead, her words pierce like a knife as frustration simmers beneath the surface. This is more than simply a letdown. It's unadulterated rage. Then she makes the shocking revelation. And I'm aware that Reeve will be the subject of every headline. Come on, will you? This trash was stolen from us, so go for it. Go ahead and do it. Reeve says in an emotionally charged voice, "Is it not unbelievable?" A well-known coach claims the league rigged the match. She doesn't stop there, though. If you don't want to call it one way, then don't call it the other, she says, requiring consistency in officiating. Maintain consistency. Isn't that what every team requests? Missing a shot clock violation when officiating, you know. This is awful. I take it this is for a championship for both groups. Let them make the decision. For both teams, the permissible contact should be the same. It's not that difficult. It's frustrating as a result. As Reeve targets the challenge rules, the situation becomes more heated. The rules for our challenge must be modified. She's not only doubting this game, she is questioning the WNBA as a whole. Will she not face consequences for this, you ask? It's a legitimate worry. In the past, the WNBA has disciplined coaches for voicing disapproval of officials. Do you recall Dan Hughes, the Storm coach from Seattle, who was penalized in 2019 for making similar comments? Reeve is aware that there could be dire repercussions. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult to officiate. Be consistent while someone is being held. That's why this is so startling. It's obvious that Reeve thinks speaking out against this injustice is worth jeopardizing her money and potentially her career. She is challenging the league to react by drawing a line in the sand. And they may. Public criticism is prohibited by WNBA rules and may result in penalties, censure, or even suspension. Here's the worst part, though. Reeve seemed unconcerned. She is putting everything on the line for what she feels is right. Throughout this season, the WNBA has been unable to break out from the reality show genre of television, as if it's unbeatable. They do something similar in the finals game, so they can't beat it. It's insane. What is actually happening here, then? This goes beyond a single game. It concerns women's basketball's future. It was the highest-rated WNBA finals in 20 years. But at what price? We are discussing the integrity of a whole league that is at stake. It's just tragedy after disaster from the top down, as if on all levels. It is now absurd to act in this manner. Right now, I can't even hold back. Numerous WNBA players, both past and present, came out to criticize the referees and explain how it could have happened in the championship game. The commissioner then appears on stage wearing an outfit that depicts the skyline of New York. What prevents people from believing it is rigged? Consider it. Why would someone risk manipulating a game with such a big profile? It's all about the money. The WNBA's bottom line greatly benefits from the New York market. More viewers, more merchandise sales, more of everything, if the New York squad is successful. Here's the real kicker, though. According to experts, this dispute may eventually cause the league's reputation to suffer greatly. Whether the game was rigged is no longer the question. They believe they could get away with it because of this. And if supporters lose faith in what they see on the court, what will happen to women's basketball? In overtime, Breanna Stewart won the game by throwing the cha-cha slide, throwing the ball at the basket, and somehow getting free throws, as if yesterday's game had been fixed. Consider it. When did you last witness a group of seasoned sports writers go completely crazy like that? It tells you all you need to know about how unusual the circumstance was. Reeve violated more than simply the unspoken guidelines for proper conduct after a game. She broke them into a million fragments. Because they treat the WNBA like a charity case. The old heritage WNBA players are, truly mean this, worse for the league than anyone else. They handle the league as if it were a charity. They act as though they don't understand sports, but I don't think that's the case. Many of these folks, in my opinion, are aware of sports. The WNBA's long-standing treatment as a charity organization rather than a sports league is the issue. They will handle it as though it were a charity case. Here's the worst part, though. Even if Reeve's disclosures were startling, they are only the beginning. Because the true cause of all of this is far more astounding than you may think. You'll never have the same perspective on professional sports after hearing that.